Potatoes, potatoes. It doesn't really matter how you say it. We all know that they're one of everyone's favorite food group. The thing that differs one potato from another is not only the ingredients behind the dish, but the tradition behind that dish.
Mashed potatoes are different for everyone. For some people they come out of a box, others they come out of a Bob Evans container. But for me and my family, we use real potatoes because I learned a long time ago when I was about Hannah's age how to make potatoes. That's my grandmother's recipe, and we call them souped up tomatoes.
I've always grown up watching my mom make my favorite dish, so today we're going to learn step by step what exactly makes these mashed potatoes so different from the rest. We all know that making mashed potatoes is not the most difficult dish, but what matters is the time and value you put behind making them.
You know, Hannah, the first thing you have to do is pick the right type of potatoes. We always use russet potatoes in our family.
I've learned that the first step in making mashed potatoes is always peeling the potato using this potato peeler. After we have all the potatoes peeled, we cut them in small dices to make sure that they're all boiled at the exact same time.
Once they're all cut up in even pieces like this, we put them all in the pan, and then we add the water and bring them up to a boil. We do that because we want the potatoes to cook from the inside out, not just the inside. Make sure you get the potatoes all covered with the cold water, Hannah. Once they're covered, we'll put them on the stove and bring them up to a boil.
The one thing I remember most about when my grandma used to make these on Thanksgiving, I always heard her tell everyone that there could never be enough salt when you're making mashed potatoes. After the potatoes are nice and tender, we make sure we drain all of the water out before we start to add all of the next ingredients. Make sure you put your hands with these to make sure that you don't burn yourself at all. My grandma's favorite trick is to test to make sure the potatoes are done is by sticking a fork to make sure that they are nice and soft and the fork can go all the way through the potato. The only step in making mashed potatoes that I've ever helped my mom do before is mashing them. And honestly, it's something me and my cousins usually do at Thanksgiving to help my grandma make the mass amount of mashed potatoes that our family chooses to enjoy.
My favorite part about all of this and about learning how to cook from my mom and spending time with her was that I got to spend a lot of time with her that without my sisters there, and my mom was busy and I was busy, but you know, she ended up sharing stories with me and opening up about things that I would have never learned, like things about when she was growing up and her family history, and then she would talk about my dad's family and how his mom was a good cook and the recipes that she learned from her. So it's so much more than just cooking. It's really learning recipes, finding out what's important to your family, finding out the stories, you know, connecting back to your history, understanding things that maybe were important to your nationality. We were German. My dad's family came from the British Isles, so they loved potatoes. So that's why my mom always had potatoes with a meal, which I never would have known that except for making dishes with her. I learned that my grandmother always said, make sure that the fried chicken has enough salt on it. And at her funeral, she made sure that the fried chicken had enough salt on it. So that's what we all talked about. It's celebrating family, celebrating tradition, learning from each other, sharing stories, and being able to pass them down to your family. So we put in 1 cup of milk, and 2% milk is the best. Then you put in a half a stick of butter, half a cup of sour cream, and a half of a brick of cream cheese.
Now that we have all of the ingredients in and we've mixed them all up, the last step is to make sure we have everything right and it's time to taste test.
But just like we thought, Hannah, it needs more salt. Well, Hannah, looks like you've made your first batch of your great-grandma's mashed potatoes.
Thanks, Mom, for showing me not only how to make my very favorite food, but for showing me the history behind it.
You're welcome.